Johnson, Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senator Susan Collins, Senator Robert Casey, Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, former Representative Jackie Spear, and Miss Kay Lynn Berry, Superintendent of the Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historical Park. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mike Johnson, Speaker of the United States House of Representatives.
Thank you. Well, welcome to you all on this beautiful day. We're so grateful to have you here, the People's House. To my colleagues in Congress, friends, family, and of course, our Rosies, it's my honor to welcome you here to the Capitol for today's historic occasion. The Congressional Gold Medal is the highest award this body can award to any group or any individual. And you may not know this, but fewer than 200 gold medals have been issued in our country's nearly 250-year history. But today, pursuant to H.R. 1773, I have the distinct honor of presenting this medal to Rosie the Riveter, the women who worked or volunteered in support of the war efforts during World War II. That's an applause line. It was during the first year of the war that President Roosevelt went on a tour visiting factories and plants where ships and tanks and planes were being built. And during one of those visits, as the story goes, the president observed that as he would walk down the middle aisle of the factory, it would chiefly be the men who would look up and leave their workstations. The men would stand up and debate whether or not the man in the straw hat walking by was actually the president. But the women in the factories kept their heads down and continued to do the work. That's right. They never let anything interrupt their duties. And it didn't matter that the president was there. These women were not going to waste 1 minute. They were busy riveting and inspecting and assembling and doing what their duty called for. And when you talk to the children of these Rosies, you'll hear them use words like true grit and patriotism and love for family that were the things that motivated their mothers. The Rosies exemplified what the image of the Proverbs 31 woman is. It says in part in the scripture, she sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. That's right. They worked 12 and 14-hour days, 6 days a week, and they knew what it was like to be so tired they couldn't eat. I have the diary of one such Rosie. This is the diary of Augusta Clausen in my hand. She was a welder, and on one rare occasion in May 1943, she got a whole weekend off of work. And she wrote in her diary, it says this, 2 days off in succession. I feel like a retired banker. That's what she wrote. Before us today, we are so honored to have more than 24 real-life Rosies, 24 ladies of the war. I don't really believe that, though, because they all look so young. I can't believe you actually did that. But these are the women that built our ships and our bombs. These are the invisible warriors here on the home front. Some took multiple buses to get to the plants. Many picked up and moved across the country. We recognize these Rosies and millions more because they all sacrificed time away from home, and they used their God-given gifts and talents for the good of our nation and for military victory against the Axis powers. That's right. But even as we sought victory, these women fought for double victory, really, when you think about it. It was victory from tyranny, but it was also victory from prejudice. Because although they were now welcome at our voting booths, they were not yet welcome on the usual assembly lines. They all changed. That all changed because of these Rosies. They did what they needed to do. They quietly fought to be treated as individuals made in God's image, endowed with inestimable dignity, regardless of their gender or the color of their skin. And that's right. It's my privilege to welcome you all here, to meet you, ladies, and to extend our gratitude for all that you have done for our country and all that you've done for generations of women since. Thank you all for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mike Johnson, Speaker of the United States House of Representatives.
Well, what a great ceremony. We'll get to the moment we've all been waiting for here in just a moment. I wanted to tell you this. During the war, before a crowd of about 6,000 people at Royal Albert Hall, Winston Churchill famously said this. He said, quote, "One would have thought in the days of peace the progress of women to an even larger share in the life and work and guidance of the community would have grown, and that under the violence of war, it would be cast back. But actually, the reverse is true. War is the teacher, a hard, stern, efficient teacher." 80 years removed from the war, we now get to look back and appreciate the lessons that the Rosies helped teach us, the lessons we should have already known, but which we were taught by necessity during the war. We remember women like Mary Edwards and Charlotte Combs, who left their homes to work at Higgins shipyards in my home state of Louisiana, New Orleans. They built ships that allowed infantry to exit through a front ramp directly onto the open beach. Higgins was the first workplace in New Orleans to be racially integrated, and that paid all people according to their job function, regardless of their sex or their skin color. And there in Louisiana, men and women, black and white alike, were coming together for one common cause. And it was that place, Higgins Shipyards, that General Eisenhower later said won the war for us. Today, as in the 1940s, we continue to come together to preserve our American experiment by joining hands as one people, one nation, and one united heart. And thanks to so many who are commemorating the accomplishments of Rosie the Riveter, the women who joined the ranks at the plants and in the shipyards and who helped us achieve victory in World War II, are always to be commended. Senators Collins and Casey, Representatives Speer and Fitzpatrick have done so much, but perhaps no one has done more than May Cryer and Phyllis Gould. That's right. Miss May was a riveter in Seattle, Washington, and Miss Phyllis was a welder in Richmond, California, where the Rosie the Riveter Museum stands today. That's right. It was Phyllis and May who in recent years would walk the halls of Congress passing out handmade red and white polka dot bandanas, trying to get members on board for this important cause. We'll have the pleasure from hearing from May in just a moment, but we mourn the fact that Miss Phyllis is no longer with us. While she worked valiantly to see this day, we can see her legacy live on now through her sister Marion, a fellow Rosie, and her daughter Lori. And I believe Marion and Lori are here today. Would you all stand? Yes, there they are, right here. Right here. Thank you. If you go to the museum in Richmond, you'll see Marion's words as you enter. It's there on the wall. It says, quote, "I specifically didn't do anything great, but I participated in something that was great." That's very well said. And indeed, it was great, and so great that today we finally get to award their efforts with a Congressional Gold Medal. That's right. So now I will ask if Miss May Cryer and Leader Jeffries, Senator Collins and Casey, Representatives Speer and Fitzpatrick will all join us on stage so that we can formally present the medal.